Hello, this is Ken Madden, and welcome back to the Goldstrike video installation series. Today we're going to be installing our LED rotor covers on our 2018 Goldwing, so stick around and let me show you how to get this done. Alright, let's get started. First thing you want to do is you want to put these brackets on. So these are your mounting brackets. This is the right side and this is the left side. The flat part here, as you can see that, and the flat, I get it on the camera there so you can see it. That always sits against the inside of the bike. So this is your right, this is your left. It makes it easy. To mount these, you just take these two bolts out right here. These are pinch bolts for the bottom of your fork. They're 10 millimeters, so let's take care of that. I always install the inside one first, so that makes it easier to install, and we'll get that one just finger tight. Put the second one in. You'll see it'll have some movement. You want it to be parallel with the disc. So you want it to be able to have the piece sit here, the bracket, and the disc be like that, so they're not twisted, or just get it parallel. Best way I do that is just basically put a finger behind each side. And when they feel even, you've got it. I like to use an open-ended wrench on the inside one for the final tighten, just to make sure you get it good and tight. With that bracket is now mounted. All right, at this point, I've taken this out of the package. We have a bracket that sits on top here that we want to pre-install. And those brackets look like this. Again, there's a right and a left. You'll see them, they're just small little brackets. The way they orient themselves on here is you have a small hole, and then you have a large hole on the other side. The small hole goes up and it meets this hole right up in here. So that lines up just like that. So it should look like this when you have it on the bike. So that's how you know they're right. If it looks like this, you did it wrong. So definitely don't have it aiming back. You want it angled forward, just like that. And then we have a real small little 3 millimeter nut that fits just inside of the, let's see if we can get that up there. There we go. You can see right. But that nut sits just inside of there, just like that. So you can see where you don't need to put a wrench on the bottom. And you take the 3 millimeter button head screw. So it should sit just like this. You can see the screws on top. We've got, you can see on the bottom there, that just sticks through. And we're going to snug that up. So you want it to sit straight against the back. And then give it a little, snug it up just tight. Perfect. All right. Our next step here is we're going to take this fender off and loosen up the inner fender. So all we need for that is a 5 millimeter Allen. And there's 4 screws to take the fender out. 2 on each side, of course. And be careful when taking these bottom fender bolts out, fender screws. And a little plastic washer on them, just a small plastic washer on the bottom. That's to help protect the paint inside of here. So that's what that's for. Now you get the screws out. Just pry out a little bit on each side. And these will come right off. Set the fender aside over there. The next part, what we want to do is we want to take out this screw here in this screw here from the inner fender. These are 5 millimeters. They just pop right out. There's 2 screws like this that are on the back side too you'll need to take out, and to take those out you can use a 5 millimeter, just a 5 millimeter hex key like this. This is one that's easier to do on the ground with the bike off the lift. You can turn the wheel and you can get to the back easier, so getting it while it's on a lift's a little tricky, but you can still get to them. So let's pull those out. There we go. Now this will just come down just like that, and this will just allow us to get into where the wires need to run up, and gives us a nice little area to reach and pull the wires through. So on to the next step. Okay, so we've got the fender off, the inner fender's loose. Now the next step is to take and put on the rotor cover. However, we've got that here, we've got that set up. If you are going to run our fork covers, this is the time to put them on, because this bolt down here, or this boss right here, is what's used for the lower fork covers. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the reflector off and put the fork cover on, and then we can install this. With the reflector off and the bolts out, our fork cover slaps right on here. This falls right on there nice. Lines up down there. I'll put these 2 screws in. Now, the rotor cover can go on. I like to undo the wires. So on this bike, everything that we're doing is is black. We also have all these parts in chrome too, so you can decide which one you'd rather have. All right, now on the back side, you'll see right here, you want to make sure that wire stays kind of up in this area as we're putting it on. It's you don't want it to get caught up in any of the spokes. So what I do is I'll fold it over this side just to put it on. Now there's 2 holes in the bottom, right here and right here. I don't know if you can see that pretty well. Yeah, let's see there. There we go. So this hole and this hole line up with this part here and this part here that have a threaded boss on them. And then this wraps around right here. There's an aluminum boss too. So slide the top in, just like that. Make sure your wire's over the top like that. And then this will slide in over the bottom. You'll hear it kind of snap in place. Now this has some motion to it, and that's to adjust it so you make sure it's not going to hit your disc. Get that wire to go up. So the 2 3 millimeter screws go in the bottom then. You'll get those 2 screws in there. You want to adjust it so it's not hitting anywhere. Usually I press the front in slightly and the back out slightly, and you can feel the back side of it. The back side should be just about flush with the disc. And I'll put up some pictures of what that's supposed to look like when I've got it all tightened. There we go. Now that's nice and solid on there. This is solid. Everything's working well. Now we got to run the wires. So we'll do that next. So I've placed a little cord keeper right there on the inside of the fork. Let me zoom out a little bit so you can see it. So if you look at the inside of the fork, it's right down there. And then I put a zip tie through it. So like this right here. It just has this zip tie I put through. You put the zip tie through like that. Just have it sit there. I'm going to do another one up on top. I'll show you that one here. A little hard to see. It's right here. Just on that inside, this one right here I put it. And on the other side you can see it a little better, maybe right there. So if you look at the parts, this is the inner fender. Anywhere in this area right here on the inside will work. One of these, and I just placed it just inside of there. Our next step is to run these wires up inside away from the brake rotor. So we're going to run them up under here and have them come up on the top side, just like that. You can see there from the other view. Now I'll show you what we need to do to tie those off. When I'm zip tying these wires down, I get them to just about there where they're just loose to make sure that the wire is going to be able to pull up and out of the way of the rotor, and then adjust the zip tie to a position where that won't hit the rotor either. Then we just clip the ends off. You want to have the wire come out on the inside of this bracket. There's a bracket right here. The wire comes out on the inside. You can see that, where that wire's on the inside of that. And then bring it up to the brake line here and just follow that brake line up. Zip ties. This particular one shows where it has our nav lights already on there. You can follow that right up to the top side. Next we'll go up top and run the wires back to the battery. Your next step is to take all these wires. On this particular version I'm doing the nav lights in the front and the rotor cover lights, so I can show you at the same time. It's no different if you're running one or if you're running four. There's a few different ways to do this. I'm going to show you today how to run it down the right side of the bike. It'll go in behind all these panels here without taking the panel off. If you decide you want to take the panels off, you can take this whole section off too. I'll link to a video below that'll show you how to do that, but it's a little more involved. This is a quick way of doing it, and this is what we recommend. So to start off, as you can see, this is just a normal zip tie, large zip tie. You can get these at any hardware store. It was like $4 for a set of 5 of them or so. I use this to fish through the bodywork to get to the wiring, to get to the front, to attach the wiring tool and pull it through. I've already fished this one through, as you can see here. I put tape on it, blue tape, just to be able to see it better in the camera. So what we'll do now is once that's fished through, starting down here and working your way up, we'll tape the wires down to it. So I'm going to start that process right now. Once you've got the wires through, you can see I've got them off of the zip tie that we used to pull them through. You want to be careful of one thing. On these, you'll see the difference between these two here. You need to watch, see that orange rubber seal right there that came off of one of these. When you're untaping them, you just want to be careful that you don't lose that little rubber seal, because that seals out the weather. And if you do, just put it on. But sometimes they'll stick to the tape. So just something to be careful of. Take a look at those. So the wires that go to the left side I'll route underneath this panel right here, and that keeps them from getting in the way anywhere. Just kind of squeeze that connector through and pull the wire. Goes pretty easy. I'm going to plug those into the left side. Now, if you have the rotor lights and you just want to run the rotor lights as a running light, on the other side there, and you can see in this close-up picture in the fuse box, you simply have to plug the leads and the connectors into the switched panel, or the switched section of the fuse box. There's 2 screws there, as you can see right there. And you just plug both lights into the adapters here, and then you've got a running light. So anytime you switch it on, it'll be running light. If you want turn signal 2, you can plug it into our rear lighting harness adapter, and that'll give you run and turn. So there's links to a video about that product below, and that should pretty much take care of that installation. Well, that about completes the installation. All you need to do is put your seat back on, and you're ready to go. For more information about any products you saw here, please go to goldstrike3d.com. If you like what you saw here, hit the subscribe button below. We have a lot more videos coming down the pipe.